my name is Sterling Hart, and this is Dreamlight, where we work with dream interpretation. Dreaming of exes. What does it mean dreaming of an old boyfriend or girlfriend or an old person from any relationship? Most likely this is not about the person, but is symbolic of the relationship. So you were dreaming of things you felt or thought and roles you played. These may be returning. It can also indicate desire or reemergence of some trauma or life lesson that was learned with the ex. The ex represents an aspect of yourself. When you examine something like this, take into account how long ago you had the relationship. How involved were you with the person? What is your present situation in terms of relationships? This is an opportunity to really explore yourself and clarify your values. What attracted you to this person? What didn't you like? Where were you at the time? What were you doing? What did you share? What was the aftermath? Did you need to work through anything? Did you notice the process of letting go? Is there something you value from that experience, or is it just forgotten? All these sorts of questions. In this case, we have someone coming back into our life via dream. This would tend to indicate the return of feelings or habits of the old relationship, personality aspects of yourself returning again. They can reawaken or come alive as we enter into new relationships or new phases in existing relationships. They can also signal we are ready to enter a new relationship. We may be becoming ready for new things, and we're in the process of change. As we grow, so do our relationships. Sometimes, though, things have to be worked through from the past. Often when we enter into a relationship, we give some things up for the common interest. We also take up new things, which can be lost when the relationship ends. These can return to us due to our circumstances. At one point, I shared a house with some roommates. When I moved in, one of the existing roommates told me that the couch belonged to a guy who joined the Marine Corps. A couple of years later, he dropped by looking for his couch. He had just gotten out of the service. He didn't take the couch back, but it was clear in talking to him that it wasn't about the couch. It was about connecting to who he was before he joined. One of the things with the couch was it was the first big purchase he ever really made. He didn't even own a car, but he owned a couch. And the couch represented his social group. They used to go in and watch things, movies and stuff like DVDs in that era, on that couch. And so it really represented himself. It was an extension of what he could provide. One of my friends was involved with a woman for a good number of years and then broke up. She wanted to have kids, and he was just starting a business and wasn't ready for that. After a few more years, he got involved with someone else who he eventually married. He had a dream of the old girlfriend. She was living in their old house, and they were trying to move stuff out of the kitchen to make an outdoor kitchen in this backyard area that had an old 1950s truck rusting in it. On examining the dream, he realized that he had been the cook in the relationship. But with his current partner, he rarely made meals. The other thing that struck him was that they used to go camping, and that his present partner wasn't into that. The 50s truck reminded him of his grandfather's farm. He also realized that he had wanted to garden and had never quite gotten around to doing it. So the dream spoke to his arrangements. Another common theme is when we are with someone, they have strong feelings about something, liking or disliking, such as really being into cars, or they get excited about music. We tend to register these things as important. So even years later, we remember that as being important, even though the person we are with may not remember it at all or has moved on. This is like the classic case of a relative you haven't seen in years giving a gift that would have been appropriate a decade earlier. So this can indicate that something going on reminds you of the previous relationship and that prior experience is coloring how you view things. What we judge, we tend to keep. Meaning if you judge someone as good or bad, you tend to see everything they do in terms of affirming your view of them as a person. So X's as a dream symbol can represent these kinds of key values that you learn or came to accept when you were in the previous relationship, and they are emerging again. The X represents an aspect of yourself. For instance, one of my young relatives had a relationship while she was in college that was solid. He had a good job while he was in school and was very good at paying bills and keeping things very clear when it came to money and arrangements. As she came to graduation, she was ready to continue her education, which meant they were going to move to another city. He was willing to do that, but she found that she was suddenly having to negotiate having kids like it was a contract. This was a red flag to her, so they broke up and she went on to school. Later, she figured out that one of his appeals was his stability, while her situation was temporary. Her next boyfriend was the same. She broke up with him, and when she got a career track job, she suddenly got into a relationship with a musician who had no stability at all. These are the types of patterns that X symbols often represent. It is not only the situational pattern, but also the emotional and the roles. What did the X provide for you personally? Did they make you feel safe, make you laugh? Was there any unfinished business? A bad breakup can leave traumas or emotional movements that die away when we are out of the situation, but it can arise again to be dealt with, and the dreams may show that going on behind the scenes. You may have to work through things in order to move on. That's usually an aspect of self-acceptance. I knew a woman who was in a long-term bad relationship and had a painful divorce that had a long, drawn-out court battle. She would often dream of her ex-husband when she was emotionally invested in some injustice or felt wronged in her business relationships. This was a feeling that would emerge and color her judgments and perceptions and was hard to shake. She didn't like to get angry or upset and had to work through a therapist for some years to get a healthy way of dealing with her feelings. There are many times when we start to change internally. One of the ways this manifests is that we awaken desires, and these desires motivate our actions and lead us towards change. They can emerge in dreams as old flames, partly mixed in with the excitement we often feel at a new relationship. When this appears, it is not so much about the old relationship as the exhilaration that comes with falling in love or just having a crush. So the X is a symbol of emotions. This can be a feeling of new possibilities coming alive again. Sometimes we're ready to make changes, and the desire to make these changes come up, and it reminds us of relationships. And so we kind of seek a new relationship when really we're looking at a new aspect of ourself emerging, like we're about to start a new endeavor in business or take up a new kind of skill or just move to a new place. In these kinds of dreams, the context will often be unrelated to the X and lead to more association of the new things. In the dream, these can be new buildings or horizon or some form of travel. For instance, in one of my dreams, I came driving over this hill and saw a vast land stretch before me, and the road led to a distant city. The colors were very vivid, and there was the elevator feeling as my car came over the hill. It was a call to adventure. There are situations where the subliminal dreams do represent a contact with the person. Such a dream can presage a meeting of that person again, or them dealing with something that you represent. This is usually confirmed by experiences in the waking world. This is much more likely if you are only recently an X. If they are angry or have unresolved issues that come up for them, then this can sometimes appear subliminally in dreams. One has to be able to separate your psychological elements of dreaming from the subliminal awareness. This often marks a transition to an expanded level of awareness and a greater capacity to handle life. One of the elements of life that has far-reaching consequences is who we choose to be in a relationship with. Our values relating to life purpose and responsibility can be bound up with this notion. Our sense of who we are fated to be with. This is something that dreams can help us examine and see ourselves and others more deeply, a good chance to explore the self. I'm Sterling Hart. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you want more content, please subscribe.